Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Starting Line here on John's Comics with Kids channel. We're looking at many great characters through the lens of where can you start reading about this character if you've never experienced them before in comics. Well, today's character might be a slightly unusual one. If you didn't recognize that thumbnail, then stick around. Up to now, most of the characters that we've talked about on this show have had long, storied histories. This is the first time we're doing a character who's only been around since the 2000s, specifically September of 2000. And who are we talking about but this gentleman right here, the Sentry, or Bob Reynolds. If you think that that's kind of an unusual name for the character, you're right. They picked that name for a reason. And who are they? The creators were Paul Jenkins and Rick Veitch, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. These two gentlemen thought of a character that would be a middle-aged superhero, someone slightly different than your typical Superman-like character. His first appearance was right here in this Marvel Knights run titled The Sentry, and it was drawn by Jay Lee and written by Paul Jenkins. This issue came to me from my good friend Tony Sanders, and that one from my other good friend, Mr. TJ Watson. This is a really great 5-issue miniseries that culminates in a 6th story issue called Sentry versus the Void. And most people would tell you that's a great spot to jump on because the story is excellent and this issue in particular is dynamite. This character has been around a long time in Marvel lore, even though in the comics he's only been around since the year 2000. How is that possible? This is the core of the history for this character. I am not going to ruin all of that because that's part of the fun of this character, is watching the way they sort of peel back the layers of Bob Reynolds and where he fits into the Marvel universe. For me, I think I'm going to pick a slightly unusual starting line for this character. The starting line I chose is the same one that I had when I first came across this character, and it's this run by Brian Michael Bendis. I know there are some Brian Michael Bendis haters out there. I got issues alert. But this storyline from 1 through 10 really gives you a great setup by starting off with a real thriller. The Avengers have broken up, but in this storyline, there's a prison breakout, and several of the Avengers have to come to the rescue on a prison island known as the Raft. So why does this have anything to do with the Sentry? He is there on the raft, and that storyline ends with some very exciting moments with him sort of being reintroduced to some heroes that he apparently seems to have known in the past. Next, we have a storyline starting in issue 7 called The Sentry. And issues 7, 8, 9, and 10 tell a story bringing Bob Reynolds directly into the universe of these new Avengers. This character, the Sentry, is a fascinating and unusual superhero. He is extremely tormented by inner demons, and there's a lot of the story breaking down the idea that he is actually his own worst enemy. And the nemesis that some heroes have on the outside of their bodies, he contains on the inside in his mind. Bob Reynolds as a character has a lot of human qualities, a desire to do good, a compassion for those around him, and difficulty facing down his own personal demons. His family relationships and the way he interacts with great Marvel characters like Reed Richards and Captain America, for me, make some really powerful drama. Even creator Paul Jenkins himself makes a small cameo in this new Avengers run as a comic book artist who seems to have created the Sentry inside the Marvel Universe itself. It's a fascinating twist, and I don't want to spoil any of how it goes, so make sure you take some time if you're interested in the Sentry and dive into this starting line. thank you so much for coming. I hope you've enjoyed this series at least as much as I've been enjoying making them. I've been waiting a long time for telling this Sentry story. I think he is a very underrated and underappreciated character that maybe a lot of people just haven't taken the time to really get to know well. If you try this starting line and you enjoy it, follow it with his original mini-series because I think it will really expand on your appreciation for this character. Until next time, please hit that like, subscribe button, and I hope to see you again soon.